first I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. And I grew strong, and I learned how to get along.
Angel.
I get visions. We do things a certain way.
Yo, Mandy, well, you came and you gave without taking, but I sent you away, oh, Mandy. Well, you kissed me and
we open on the introduction of the unnamed host, but since we'll be finding out his name later this season, and it's not particularly a spoiler, I'm just going to call him Lorne.
Bonsoir.
A montage of Team Angel mounting up ensues that I rather adore. Cordy's acting has taken a real step up since the last time we saw her on stage.
I mean, of course a time will come when Torvald is not.
Ow. She gets a 911 beep from Angel and takes off. Wesley is throwing a mean game of darts in a bar when he gets his text, and the Avengers assemble at a gym. Minor side note here, in the video for the HD Buffy remaster, I described how a show could be filmed in one aspect ratio, but protected for another. In the case of Angel's second season, it was filmed in 16:9, but intended to be shown in the old 4:3 ratio. And you can see the impact of that with this cool two-part shot that is now broken in most releases, given most outlets use the 16:9. In part one of the shot, David Boreanaz is standing off to the right while the crew focuses on the mirror without Angel's reflection in it. He was supposed to be cropped out when the episode aired in 4:3. When Charisma and Alexis reach him, the camera rack focuses off the mirror and it looks like Angel was with the group the whole time. Probably looked very cool in 4:3. But since most sources for the show now use the unprotected 16:9, it makes no sense why Angel is standing there or has a reflection. Angel bursts through the mirror, Team Angel kicks ass, and again later in the scene. Anyways, Team Angel has taken up residence in Cordy's haunted home.
I'm beginning to think it was the sloth demon.
Sloth demons don't sacrifice adolescents, Wesley. It was a carnus.
Wow. Go Cordy. Angel is now obviously preoccupied with the Shanshu prophecy as he contemplates whether or not to get a gym membership.
You don't have to work out. You're eternal.
May not always be.
Cordy gets a vision.
You alright?
I'll survive.
Get it? Back at Wolfram and Hart, Darla is refamiliarizing herself with the world.
Angel. It's been a long time.
Well, kinda. Like 3 years. I mean, a few things have happened while you've been gone. We've got 2 Slayers now, so that's interesting. Well, 3. There was this whole thing that, well, never mind. Sunnydale High blew up, so that's a thing. Scott Hope is gay. Wait, wrong show. Meanwhile, in pursuit of a demon from Cordy's vision, Wesley takes the team to Caritas to meet his informant, Merle. Caritas is a magically enforced violence-free karaoke bar run by Lorne, who can read a person or demon's aura when they sing. On this run-through, I noticed one of the patients at Caritas bears a striking resemblance to the naked psychic demons from Earshot. Merle points them in the right direction, and Lorne drops a piece of foreshadowing on Angel.
I know you're feeling smooth in the groove. Isn't that the thing that comes before a fall?
And around this point, after some really fun character-building bits, the episode gets a little plotty. In the subway, Angel stumbles upon and kills the demon. Turns out he was one of the good demons, not the evil ones.
What did you do? Oh my God.
Damn those vague visions. The demon was protecting a woman pregnant with a prophesized baby. Angel recruits Gunn to help him find the woman, and when he does, takes over as her protector. Gunn is introduced to the rest of the team in a scene so cringeworthy it might break bones.
He's a great guy with a really fly street tag.
What's he fly?
In fairness, anyone named Gunn probably would have learned by now to introduce themselves as Charles.
What if it's a demon with a gun?
Or friend of Angel. If my last name was Face Punch, I'd probably go by Ian. Angel and his charge find their way up from the sewers into an abandoned hotel, and Angel loses her. Sponsor Cordy, one of my favorite Cordys, steps in to bolster his confidence.
You can't see everything. You're just a vampire like everyone else. That didn't come out right.
To find and protect the woman, Angel resorts to the most heinous, ghastly, and unthinkable deed he's done since getting his soul back.
Yo, Mandy, well, you came and you gave without taking,
Lorne sets him on the path. Angel defends the woman from death in a neo-noir horse jousting sequence that I'm kind of torn about. On the one hand, the shot paused looks pretty sweet. On the other... And the episode ends with Angel coming to grips with the scope of the task in front of him.
Actually, we're starting over with no slate.
And reconnecting with the one person who probably understands him best.
Road to redemption is a rocky path.
Oh man, do I hope they lean into this relationship a lot in the coming season. The opening feels very confident, as if the writers were saying, we may not entirely know the direction the show is going, but we definitely know who these people are. And in the span of a few minutes, they make it very clear that the characters have progressed. The visions forced upon Cordy have infused her with a strong sense of empathy, something required to play characters other than herself.
That was just amazing.
And her growing aptitude for demonology displays the commitment to the cause she found after the torture she'd endured at the end of the first season.
We have to help them.
We will.
There's still a bit of slapstick Wesley here, but he is equally confident in their cause and ready to look inward at the ethical contradictions when they're laid out in front of him.
We're not running a race. We're doing a job.
And the very fact that he is the one with Merle, the demon contact and nose of Caritas, is further evidence that Wesley is far more competent and resourceful than anyone, including he, really believes. Nice to see Darla back and still adjusting, and I definitely prefer whatever this direction is for her character compared to what we had in Buffy Season 1. A bit less vampire Harley Quinn, something more nuanced and complex. At first glance, her appearance in this episode might seem like nothing more than a reminder that she's here, but there's something interesting going on we'll get to in a minute. After recurring last season, this premiere is the first time that J. August gets billed in Angel's fantastic opening credits. One of the details I've always really enjoyed was how each actor's character had a symbolic piece of B-roll behind them. Gunn gets a back alley, a visual connection to his life with the Lost Boys, a cage for Angel, indicating him being trapped by his past actions or the monster trapped within, a line to a club for Cordelia showing her desire for the glamorous. In Season 1, Doyle's footage was of his messy one-bedroom home, emblematic of his own inner turmoil. Wesley's B-roll for the rest of Season 1 was Doyle's, with a blur added to hide his character, a symptom of Glenn Quinn's unfortunate and unplanned-for departure. In Season 2, that footage has been replaced with a more fitting pan across one of his books, reflective of Wesley's knowledge and his rightfully earned position in Angel investigations. Undoubtedly, the most glorious addition to the mix is the maestro of mind reading himself, Lorne. Given the show's proclivity for Greek mythology, Lorne is an obvious stand-in for the Greek chorus. I really don't want to say too much about him just yet, other than that Lorne is another layer to the gray, or the green, that is the Angelverse. A kind demon who uses his powers to help anyone along their path, be they eaters of their own young, or Angel himself. Lorne, the demon who insists on his domain being a place of peace and tranquility. It'll be interesting to see what his interaction with the team does for them both. But beyond that, Lorne is also such an interesting commentary on music itself. I said in a previous video that music really is the heart's native language. Music has a way of bypassing our own defense mechanisms, of getting at our very soul. Why not then a telepathic demon that can read our hearts when we sing? It is absolutely perfect. And from Lorne's opening song, which could be interpreted as being about Lorne himself or Darla and Angel, it's clear that music is going to play an unexpected important role in the Angelverse. Similar to how in the first 3 seasons of Buffy, pretty much every classroom lesson was in some way relevant to the theme of the episode itself. While that is not the case with every bit of music in Angel, Lorne's song makes it clear that the choices are anything but haphazard, even if the intent is as simple as poking fun at its characters.
It's a little outside the box.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
An example, let's look at Angel's ear-stabby karaoke ditty. Lorne asks a seemingly innocuous question of Angel.
Why Mandy?
Remember, Lorne can't read minds willy-nilly. He can only get impression from people when they speak and sing.
An answer true, because you know I'll know.
But him asking the question itself suggests something may have made him think he should. Angel answers with what Angel believes is true.
I kind of think it's pretty. And it is, you great big sap.
And that's good enough for Lorne's gloriously eccentric psychic power. And we all move on. Except, maybe something else is at play here. Manilow's song Mandy was a smash hit. His follow-up the next year, Could It Be Magic, was less successful. It was one of the few Manilow tunes to be written in a minor key, and he based it on Chopin's
The prelude.
In C minor.
Many major themes from the previous Buffyverse seasons are reintroduced here. Demonicity does not an evil being make, but the gray extends beyond just the essence of the creatures in Angel's world, but also to the intrinsic virtue of one action and the next, or one vision and another.
Thanks for the obscure visions. We're doing great with that.
Perpetually forcing Angel to question where he ends and Angelus begins. This endless cycle of self-doubt looks like it could put Angel at risk somewhere down the line. The episode also holds the dubious distinction of being the show's first use of the word
Champion is defeated.
God, I really hate that word.
You'll find out why it's dubious later on. Lastly, the structure of the threat to Angel's client in this one is no accident. That threat being the tribunal and their trial and judgment. In this episode, Angel wins the day by playing their game. But bear in mind his exhaustion and desire to break that wheel that he also expressed in Blind Date.
Our rules, their game.
It's all a lot of good stuff. After the very, very gloomy first season, the addition of Hosty McLorne is a welcome injection of saturation and life to the mix, and everything around Lorne in this episode is a joy. The team chemistry is still lively and getting even just a glimpse of Faith on her own journey of redemption, and the evil anonymous relationship she has formed with Angel is a welcome reminder of some of Season 1's pinnacle moments. Still, as much as I enjoy this episode, it seems to exist mainly for the purposes of having Angel come to grips with the fact that it's going to take some time before he does his Shanshu thing. Now that he can see an end goal in mind, over the course of the summer, Angel has developed some impatience in getting to that destination.
That light was so bright. I thought I was already out.
And that's a fascinating idea. It could be really interesting if they choose to play with that this season. However, rather than letting Angel continue to bathe in that anxiety, the writers choose to tie Judgment's story and development off with a bow.
We shouldn't be keeping score.
So, cool? I guess he's moved past his hunger for the destination then? But if that's the case, from a narrative standpoint, I thought his interaction with Wes over it at the end of Season 1 was a far more elegant demonstration of this.
So don't break out the champagne just yet.
Than his pining for a gym membership here. Sure, you might say there's a difference between being told something will take time and Angel actually realizing the weight of that fact. But it still feels a little redundant to me given how Season 1 ended. And if they choose to walk back his moment of character growth here again, then that would make the events of Judgment even more head-scratching for me. We'll see how the story unfolds. There are a number of solid setups in this episode for some wonderful payoffs later in the season, but nothing that feels like it couldn't have been nipped and tucked into the far superior Are You Now or Have You Ever Been? Or simply an episode with a stronger, fresher plot. Judgment contains numerous ideas, but it doesn't feel like it advances so much as restates them through moments we've already seen in Season 1. Angel killed a good demon in the ring, or at least a demon made to do bad things by some worse-souled humans. We've got the second pregnancy-related plot in 2 seasons, though at least this one wasn't touted as mystical. I also wonder if the specifics here, like Angel guarding a pregnant woman being hunted and whose demon-y partner he killed, will come up again. And we've got another client that will be shortly forgotten by the next episode. Somehow, even with all the good Lorne bits and the chemistry, Judgment still feels at times like a relatively rote Season 1 Angel story. Woman in trouble with a generic supernatural threat, Angel brooding, wacky hijinks, honor, good, redemption, hard, yada yada yada. But we know the business of television had an influence on Angel's plot arcs from time to time, and maybe that's why Judgment feels like another pilot with a built-in desire to catch up new viewers rather than a continuation of Angel and Company's epic journey. A consideration of the fact that the show didn't have the strongest following at this time in its run and would need to do more than rest on its Buffy laurels to survive and flourish. All of that said, it's still better television than a fair bit of Season 1, and honestly, that's better TV than most. It's wonderful to be back with these characters and the world they inhabit.